again, everybody. Dr. Glenn here with Infinite Wellness, and got another question and answer video for you today. A little something more functional and practical. Hopefully bring ease to some of what you're looking for to allow your body to improve itself from home. So can't wait to get into this one. Please like and share our videos. Please ask questions. I'd love to be able to do more question and answer videos. We have less questions, so please feel free online. Ask us. We'd love to address whatever your concerns are.
So this week it says, I don't have money for the gym. What at-home exercises would you recommend for strength training?
Excellent. Okay, good question. And I'm hearing a lot more of questions like that now. What can I do at home? Well, at home, we are still going to be required. We're going to need some minor equipment, which I will show you a little bit later in this video. I tell everybody, if you don't have money for the gym, that's okay. Or if you don't just care for certain gyms. I know there's a lot of talk here recently. I live in Nightdale, so Planet Fitness, everybody's complaining it's too crowded. If it's too crowded, you don't want to go to the gym, there's not that ease of access for you, or you don't have the finances for that. Perhaps, setting up something at the house. And it's really not that hard to do. You will have to invest probably about $90 to $100, but with that little bit of money, you will have what you need for a while to come. And most of the exercises I'm going to show you will be designed around just some small equipment that you can get at like a Dick's Sporting Goods or even a Walmart or a Target, and will be sufficient for you to be able to do some pretty extensive workouts at home to encompass the main thing that we need to take care of. The big thing with training at home, this is strength training now, mind you. This is basics of training. This is nothing exciting. It's not, oh my goodness, I'm really trying to achieve a big special goal. I just want to be able to do basic training at home. To do that, we still have to be able to strength train and do a little bit of light end cardio, but strength training is what I'm going to concentrate on a little bit today, or at least for the equipment we need and the functional movements. And I'd like to preface that with, we need to make sure that we're concentrating on the right muscle groups. For strength training, we have to be able to train the large muscles of the body. Lots of people will try to train everything, right down to the muscles of my little finger. Well, for strength training, that's not really necessary. Not for most people. There are athletes out there who want to be strong right to the last little bit that they can do for any specialty they're working on, whatever that may be. But for the average person, we want to concentrate on the 5 major muscle groups. These are the ones that will give us the most bang for our buck. They will build the most muscle mass, and the more muscle mass we build, the more the body has to repair and will take from our fat storage. So our real weight loss comes down to strength training, not cardio. Everybody is going off on a huge thing about how we need to cardio train. Don't get me wrong, cardio training is great if you're trying to build your heart or you're trying to grow your lung capacity. That's what cardio means. Heart, lung, respiratory, cardiac. That's it. Cardio training is not for weight loss. It is not for burning up a whole bunch of calories. Trust me, you will out-eat whatever you do. It is for getting my heart and lungs to function better so that I have a strong heart and lungs. Outside of that, cardio training, not a weight loss thing, not a big calorie deficit thing, not something that's going to help you lose a lot of weight. Truthfully, you'll get more weight loss out of a good strength training program where you're putting more muscle mass onto your body that your body is required to repair, and it will take from your stored fat to do that. So, 5 major muscle groups I want to mention real quick before we get into a little bit more of the video on exercises to train those groups. But be familiar with these. The 5 major things that you want to concentrate on a human being are the largest masses that we have. Chest, back, upper arm and shoulder, this whole region. Quads, our legs, I will stand up. You may not see me for a sec. Quads, the front of the leg, hamstrings and glutes, the back. Those are your 5 major regions. Hamstring, glute 1, quad 2, chest 3, back 4, shoulders, and upper arms 5. Those are what we really want to concentrate on. If we're taking care of the exercises for those, all the other smaller muscle groups will fall in line. A lot of people are going to differ with me here, but I'm going to go ahead and explain this. A lot of people will incorporate abs. They want to say abs. Your abs are very small. These are not a heavy strength training area. You are welcome to train them, but you're not going to build a lot of muscle mass in your abs. That's why we're not including them. It's not that they're not important. It's that they're not a major large group, even though they encompass a large region. They're very flat, very small, very short, very non-growth fiber muscles. So you're not going to get a lot of abdominal growth, which is would kind of be counterproductive anyway. If I want to lose weight and look better, I don't want my abs to grow. I just want them to be strong and tight underneath. I'm looking to get rid of the layers that are on top, and that goes back to the 5 major muscle groups, making those stronger so that they pull energy from wherever the body has it stored: hips, thighs, belly, all those underarms, places we don't want. And the body's great at putting it all there. Getting it out of there isn't training those areas, though. It's training the big muscle groups to pull energy from those. So that's kind of what we're looking at for some basic strength training. And like I said, for about $100, you can put together quite a nice little inside gym. All right, everybody, second half of our video. So I promised I would give you some concepts and some ideas on what we can get for a home gym. Like I said, probably around $100, basic cost. And it's just some real basic things you can start out with at home that I believe will be beneficial. The first one of which I'll talk to you a little bit about is our good friend, the jump rope. I know we talk mostly about strength training, but you do want to have your little bits of things that you can do that are cardio, like in between. There are lots of little body movements you can do with this, things like burpees, etc. But a good friend is the jump rope. And please get a decent jump rope, not synthetic, not the good old-fashioned clothesline ropes. They don't spin very well, I promise. I've used these before. Get you a nice synthetic style jump rope, something you can get from a Walmart or a Dick's Sporting Goods, and make sure that it has bearings, something that will spin freely. You want to be able to learn. If you cannot jump rope yet, this is okay. This is a great way to start learning balance and coordination type exercises. This will encourage some of that. A little bit of plyometrics in the jumping motion, a little bit of balance and coordination to be able to get over the jump rope, and of course this is great for our heart and lungs. So there's your cardio side. So everybody should have one of these. They're around probably $15. I think this is an old Dick's Sporting Goods special, about 12 bucks. I would show you all of this, but I've already tried it inside in my office. It won't work out too good. I've already whipped myself in the head. Not a good idea. You do need enough head clearance. So this is something you will use predominantly like maybe in a garage where you've got 10 or 12 foot ceilings, or outside. You can do this in a driveway or on the sidewalk. Do be careful. I would not encourage use of these in grass. They tend to grab, kind of hard to jump, really not great for coordination. They don't work that way, but anything like outside on the concrete, and concrete will tear up your jump rope. So I usually encourage people have a front door mat, something you could throw underneath your feet that you jump on where the rope strikes. Keep it from tearing up the jump rope. Also give you a little cushion for your feet. But a standard jump rope, definitely something you want to have. These are modifiable, so do not worry. You don't have to ask what's the right height for me. I'll do this real quick. You can unscrew the top. These push through. They have a small clip. You can take this. You design it for your height. I'll do a separate video on this maybe later, how to do a jump rope for your height, how to do some big jump rope variations, fun stuff. But for now, just know that it's real simple. You just push this through. There's a little clip here. You pull back. This opens. You can cut this to the length. You replace the clip. It goes back through the handle and locks, and then you can screw the handle right back on. So easy to use, easy to get, great tool. There's 15. There's your first $15, okay? Everything else is going to be based around strength training. So now for our jump rope, a separate video for how to use that a little better. We also need some kinds of weights. You're going to need hand weights at least as a base minimum. So I've got a couple here, not very big ones, nice small weights, fairly. Little 8-pound, little 15-pound. These are great to start with. Yes, ladies, I know these are way too heavy. I should only have 3 and 5 pound weights. I'm 55. Okay, maybe in the beginning, but you're going to want heavier weights, I promise. These are not horribly expensive. Most of these you can buy at a local Target or Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods, Cabela's, or you can even order these online through Amazon or any other site that sells these. They're not very expensive. They're close to around $1 a pound. You can get a 15-pound one, 20-pound one for around the price of the weight, $15, $20. Same thing with the little 8-pound. Women, I encourage, if you're older, you're smaller, just beginning, yes, little 5-pound weights are fine. You can get those for around $5 or $6, and there are weights in between these, and of course heavier. All you folks out there using weights bigger than 15 and 20 pounds probably already have a small home gym. You've been doing this a while, and yes, more cost will come as you get better at this, and as you get stronger, you will need heavier weights for resistance. The body is accommodating. We don't just start with 8 pounds and stay with this for 3 years. If you're doing that, you're not weight training. You're just kind of not going downhill. We actually want to train. The more muscle we build, the more fat we burn, and the better we feel. We also change our body chemistry, which is really what we're looking for. So that's what all this is. Okay, so a couple of small hand weights, definitely want to have a few of those around. The other thing I would encourage most folks to have, because they are so versatile, are our good friends, kettlebells. Kettlebells are great for so many different things, and you're going to want a few sizes of these, mostly because that several of the exercises are going to vary very, very much on the body parts we're working. We talked about the 5 major muscle groups. My shoulder is going to be able to press a smaller kettlebell, say maybe 15 pounds, but not a big 50-pound, 45-pound kettlebell, which I also have here. We will show that. Ugh. Yes, way too big, right? Nobody needs this. Let me tell you, even you small little ladies at 60 years old, I promise you, to deadlift effectively and grow your glutes and hamstrings, you're going to need a bigger kettlebell. I don't even deadlift with this. This is a little toy for me, and I swing it. Sometimes I press this over my head because I've been doing this for years. But even for those of you who've never started, a 45-pound kettlebell is almost necessary to do a kettlebell deadlift. So you will need some heavier weights. Again, these are available at a lot of stores. Most places have them. 45 is not as common, but the 15s and the 25s, 30s you can get anywhere. For a larger kettlebell, you could order this online. Max $1.50, $2 a pound. So most sites you can find just off brands of these for a fairly reasonable price. So there we go. We're adding up all our stuff. We had 15 on our jump rope. We got another 25 or so in some dumbbell weights. So that's 40-ish. Then you want your kettlebells. Well, if this one's $45, all right, we're up to $95 already. A couple other smaller kettlebells. Again, Walmart, Target. These are about $1 a pound. So another 25 and another 15. So we're still around that $120-ish range for all of the equipment we need. Okay, to train our 5 major muscle groups, and you've got your home gym. That's pretty much the basics. We don't need a lot of other stuff. Again, I'll get into a longer video maybe, but for some of the basics, I'll try to show you a few of the generic exercises that we can do for each of the major muscle groups. Okay, so back to our devices. Real quick again, muscles, chest, back, upper arms and shoulders, quads, glutes. Just some basics. Of course, for the upper, we want to concentrate on small things. These are going to be our smaller weights. Oftentimes for things like a shoulder press, to develop the outer portion of the shoulder, we want to press overhead. This movement needs to be strict and direct. It needs to go behind the ear, and it needs to go above our head. We can do this with a dumbbell. We can do this with a kettlebell. And it should be a press up and behind the ear. These are movements for shoulders. While we're in that upper arm area, we can again use a kettlebell, but most often a dumbbell we're going to see a lot of this with for the biceps and triceps of the arm, back and front. So simple, basic movements like dumbbell curls. And again, you want to challenge yourself with these. These should be difficult for 6 to 8, maybe even 10 reps, no more. If you can sit here and do this for 100 reps like I can with this little 8-pound dumbbell, that's a problem. We're not strength training anymore. That's cardio almost. That's just there for movement. We want to challenge ourselves here. So things like dumbbell curls, we can bend forward and kick the weight backward for our triceps. Great way to work the back side of the arm. You can also work the triceps by putting the weight behind the head and pressing upward. This is great maneuver for tricep mobility as well as shoulder flexibility. So there's some stuff with the smaller dumbbells. For our chest, here's where we get into difficulty. Chest is a little harder to train. Without a bench, you're going to have to lay down and press weight away or push weight this direction. Now, we can do this by even just leaning against a wall and doing a wall-based push-up, or we can do push-ups on the ground, and there are lots of variations for that. I won't go into all that in this video, but we want to push things. Anytime we push through the chest. Okay? The back is the opposite, and we can pull. I will show you how to push with something for muscle strength while doing this. But I got this first. We want to get us a band. This was the other thing I forgot to mention in our purchase. You need some bands. Elastic resistance bands. These can be gotten almost anywhere. You can buy these anywhere. You can get them online. There's lots of stores that sell them. But you want elastic bands. Mostly for things like pulling with the back or pushing with the chest. I can push by wrapping this around. I loop it underneath my door handle. And I have both ends. This allows me to walk into a room and the door be my guide. I can turn around in this and push forward. Now I'm pushing with the chest. This will mimic a chest press like you would have at the gym. There are many fancy machines they got there, but this can easily be done with a resistance band or 2 once this gets easy. You can double these bands up, use 2, 3 of them, buy heavier ones, whatever you wish. For the back, we just turn around. It's just as simple. Now I'm going to wrap the band and I'm going to pull. Head up, pull back, just like you would do a row at the gym. So you don't need a whole gym to do this movement. Nice, easy back pulls. So there's our band for chest and back. Okay? Now we'll get into the biggest muscles. And these are our biggest problem areas, right? These are the ones we want to grow. And most of us have the most difficulties. Most of us have joint pain in our hips and our knees. And the big key to fixing a lot of that is mobility. So we want to be able to squat and we want to be able to deadlift. Deadlifting for the glutes and the hamstrings, squatting for the quads. Okay? Basic, simple, easy moves. And thus the reason I suggested larger weights, especially for a deadlift. A deadlift is a standing maneuver. We need to be able to stand up with a heavy enough weight that we don't injure ourselves every time we bend over to pick up the laundry, bend over to grab the groceries, bend over to pick up our kids. And this is a great way to mimic that motion. We learn to sit back and squat. We grab whatever we want, kid or otherwise, and we pick them up. We're lifting them with the bottom of the glutes and hamstrings through here. I'm pushing the floor away to pick this up. I'm not picking it up here. I'm not using my arms. I'm just squatting down and standing up. And this is how we should pick things up. Even if it's a kid, to pick up under the arms, to lift them here. Still a deadlift. And that comes into the squat as well. I'll bring that to a little bit smaller weight. So that middle kettlebell I was talking about, great place to start for weighted squats. Now, if you can't do weighted squats where you're holding the bell and squatting down, sorry if I look rough today, I ran yesterday, so I'm a little tight and stiff. If you can't do that, you can do these to a device with just your body weight to begin with, like a chair. We can simply just go to our chair, use it as a base for us, squat down, and stand back up. Starting there, we work up till we can do that with smaller weights, maybe even as small as our little 8-pound dumbbell we had earlier, 5-pound dumbbell if you got it, and we squat down and we stand up. As that gets easy, we progress to our weights and we're trying to get heavier with those. That is something we really need to do to increase muscle tone of the quads. So there's your 5 muscle groups with just basics and the small equipment we got for $125. Glutes and hams, quads, chest, back, arms and shoulders.